evolution of intelligence. Language was not always there in humanity. There were at points where we were communicating or understanding the world without language. And then when we developed language, we lost most of those other abilities of intelligence. But if you look at the geniuses, they keep saying that my ideas come differently. For example, Einstein, he was like, if I could only think in words, I would not go so far. I think in colors and sounds.
Who's that?
Einstein. And like there is those forms of intelligence which language buried.
So I think, David, what is happening is language always is, but it's the forms of language. It's a redefinition of language constantly with every new era. So because beauty, colors, that's a form of language. So I think that I'm agreeing with you, but I'm simply saying that it's
still language.
It's still language. It is still language, but it's different
But it's not
forms.
words.
It's not. Thank you very much.
Not words. Still language, but
not words. And actually, one of the curses of modernity is words.
Oh, because if there's no word, a word for something, then you can't define
One
it.
of the
You can't
curses of
think about
modernity.
it.
And it's been, forgive me, Ian, it's one of the things I've been arguing about Christianity today as it exists. It's dependent on words. Words. And we don't appreciate color. We don't appreciate dance with drama. African societies didn't need to do too many words. What did we do? Music, dance, drama, art, all those were forms of communication that are actually indigenous to us. You know, that's how come we could relate to the world in the ways in which we did. So I think that every era will produce different ways, forms of communicating, because we are beings that communicate, that interact, that have this ability to. So if AI begins to talk to each other the way they do, there is something about us that will be discovered supersedes what AI can do. I believe that personally. And I think there will be these cycles. Will Africa survive? Now, it's a conversation that you and I have had before, I think. That first of all, Africa as is a creature of the imagination of empire. Beginning with the Ottoman, I was reading about this the other day, the Ottoman Empire, the Roman Empire, Ottoman Empire, what's the other one? Empires that created Africa.
Persians?
Yes, the Persians and so on. So I think that it's an opportunity to reimagine Africa itself. You talk about populations if you look at France, Paris, and I haven't checked the statistics, but please do. Paris is one of the most diverse cities in the world. And a significant proportion of Paris would be people who would have originated from the continent. I think the world is going to be redefined. I think that, can you stop immigration? Can you stop the movement of peoples? No, you cannot. The nation state will try, but you can't, because it's the nature of history of the world. So I think it's going to be a redefinition of Africa. This Africa that exists, nation state as it is, please, may it die as soon. That's my view. May it die as soon. Because it's a danger to us. The people killing us are our own brothers who, because they control this power. So the earlier this dies, the better for a new Africa to emerge.
I now see why YouTube is censoring our podcast. But no one wants to hear this stuff.
No.
I totally buy this.
Maybe this censoring is going to cause David Jolly to ask, hey,
because
how will I say what I want to say?
Because now I've been pushing the podcast passively, but now I'm changing the strategy. Because why? Why is there censorship? But I want to go to our last question so that we wrap up. But before we do that, I just want to make a mention of words. Words are powerful. But they're powerful because it is words that enabled us to write, to do things like science, put people on the moon, and books. And I think one of the ways of throwing away the books is through reading books out of your but not just probably studying, meeting people, and going to places where you're not supposed to be as your designated profession. But my last question, I want to go to what you mentioned, and it is a plea to us who the system is working for. Us who can go to medical school and then get out. Okay, not working so much for us because there's no meaningful work, but us who can get some form of work and think and read a book and buy an iPhone and buy internet, we have some sort of privilege. I would think that the onus is on us to break the system because we have some extra leeway. We don't have to bow down to it. And I wanted to get your comments on that. Like, what would you say to us who have been born by you, to us who, who have the leeway to think about these things, to talk about, because I'm imagining someone who doesn't have rent can't even think about like what's going on. They don't have a job. They're literally, there's no room for that. For us, the privileged.
Yeah. I mean, it's a real dilemma, this whole thing, because we spoke earlier about not being pushed along by the system, but taking time, making your decisions, deciding this is where I want to be, whether it's in AI or for me to come out of Ireland and go to Africa, and then various, that you're re-examining that all the time, and you're looking at what you're doing, and sometimes it's from dissatisfaction, sometimes it's from aspiration. But at the same time, there's another force at work within us, which is the force of self-preservation. And for example, I've worked in South Sudan. I've worked in helping victims of the Kony War, and I worked in Luero post-war. But
You're always looking for the hard places.
No, I've always chosen the places that were stable, to be honest. I've never gone into, there's these people like Médecins Sans Frontières, and they sort of almost follow the lines, go into. So if you take people who've gone into Gaza, how many people have lost their lives? So you take doctors in it. And so there's always this tension between, I want to stay alive, and I want to do good. And I'm giving you the example. I've chosen to go into areas where there was war, but I went when there was stability. Okay, maybe people didn't see it that way, but it was relatively stable. Because I've always felt you can't do anything if you're dead, and so you may think I need to we need to break the system. And yet you're also you've also got your instincts of self-preservation, and I think those things are always held in balance. And unfortunately, sadly, when you get riots break out and so on, it's often innocent people. The video I saw on CNN of a girl who died shot in the riots in Arusha, I think it was. I mean, she had kids. She was obviously not a looter or a rioter. She was just there, and she caught a bullet. So, yeah, I haven't answered your question. Tell me, sum up your question.
The question is around the people who are privileged, who the system is working for.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying there's an innate contradiction, because if you want to stay alive and you want to be able to do some good, you also tread carefully. You do some self-censorship and, that kind of thing. But you try to find something that you can have impact on. And I think we all do that.
I think that there are, humanity is a complex, is a mystery. So Ian, you, and it was very helpful the way you spoke about the drivers, the three. One is aspiration, and the second was dissatisfaction, a sense of uneasiness, restlessness. So aspiration. Thirdly, self-preservation. Yeah. And I as I look at history of communities, of societies, of nations, sometimes those primarily driven by aspiration and ignore self-preservation. I mean, the example that comes to mind already is Martin Luther King Jr. and one of his speeches, outstanding, I may not reach there with you, but I see, right? So there are those who, and I think to provide space for the three categories, the three are never in one human being. I think there is in each one of us that which dominates. Either it's this sense of an ease that pushes us primarily, or aspiration primarily, or self-preservation. And I think that you'll find the combination of those within us. But I was going to say that for us who have benefited from this system, if we don't come to the side of those who break it, it will break us. Whether we like it or not, it will break us. Now, by us, it may not be myself in my time, but there will be the us, the people that are called us, who perpetuate it, for whom it will break. And it will. So if we don't make the choice to be on the side of those who seek to break the system, it will break us. Number two, actually, I would like to suggest that the impulse for breaking the system is not going to come from us. I actually suspect that we will participate more effectively with the breaking of this system out of the desire for self-preservation. That those who are pushing hard against this system, who are breaking it, I like the Gen Zs, the younger people, who have absolutely, this system is not working for them. It's not even restlessness. They don't even know how to be restless because it's not working. I think that they're going to work very hard. And I think it's possible that my generation and those, in their 50s, late 40s, 50s, 60s, may out of self-preservation now begin to listen to the younger people. I hope.
Brings us back to Muhammad Yunus, doesn't it?
Yes. So I think that actually I would like to appeal to those of us in our 70s for whom this system has worked. My appeal is, for goodness sake, listen to the younger generation. And let's have these intergenerational conversations. Because if we don't, we will bequeath to our children and our children's children to a broken way of living. It will not survive. So I personally think that, yes, there is a lot we can do, but I think one of the things is where you began, the invisible, the unheard. Can we be more intentional in making a choice to listen to the margins, to those who are pushing back against the system that has been our benefit, rather than act out of fear, but actually realize if the thing doesn't work for everybody else, it is not going to work for us. Our destinies are locked together. We are humans.
I'm thinking of, was it Star Wars? Yeah, Star Wars. Darth Vader and was it Luke Skywalker? And going over to the dark side. You can choose. You can go to the dark side. What really surprised me was, how much these guys, J.D. Vance and all these other folks, Kennedy, maybe some of them were radical as well to start with, to me, they went to the dark side. And I think it's a simple choice. You have to choose to stand for what is right.
Yep.
When it comes to it.
Absolutely.
You may not go out there and riot. You may be circumspect.
Could you use a different word? Not riot.
Okay.
Resist.
Resist. But
these privileged ones. When you go on the street, they say rioting. No, we're just resisting. We're just defying.
Pushing back.
We're just pushing back. We're not rioting.
But yeah. So I think we, in terms of conscience, to stand on the side that's right. I think that's what it comes.
I think this has been a great conversation. I would like to get your closing remarks for today.